Hello, so yes, I'm Bee from Exactly, and we're really here to talk to you guys today about a pilot that we ran with Waitrose back in September, where we were part of what John has called the JLab process. So I'll talk you through the detail later, but I'm just going to hand over to Colin to explain a bit about how a big corporate like John Lewis gets in touch with innovative companies like ourselves.
So innovation is really part of the heritage of the John Lewis Partnership. If you go right back to the beginning of our business, the guy up there, John Stephen Lewis, who founded it, he gave away the business to the employees because he thought that was a better way of doing it than having a share in it, which was innovative to the point of lunacy at the time. We sort of carried that through really into how we ran the business. So if you look back through the decades, we were using things like warehouse automation up there in some of its early forms, and electric vehicles for delivery, decades and decades ago. And these are things that now we're seeing kind of in the press as being the next innovations in how people operate kind of retail business with fulfillment. And our innovation approach has also carried through historically into how we deal with our customers. We were very early adopters of electronic point of sale, using magnetic tickets before barcodes were even invented. And more recently, we were at the forefront of offering click and collect as our proposition for our customers, and joining up the Waitrose and the John Lewis businesses in that to give a single view of our business to our customers. So we've tried to stay ahead of the game. But today, we live in a very digital world. It's very fast moving, tends to be very tech driven in innovation. So we set up JLab a few years ago specifically to allow us to get in touch with some of the emerging kind of startup companies with great tech ideas in the retail space and work together with them to make something happen. Now, the way JLab works is we gather 20, 30 companies, we progressively work with them, support them, and kind of like whittle them down to the point where we have one or two winners that we make an investment in as a company to help them get on their way. And if we can, we use their technology. As JLab has evolved, supply chain has come into sharper and sharper focus because as a retailer, more and more of our business is about online selling and direct customer delivery. So in that last mile delivery and fulfillment space, needing to be fast, agile, cost effective is ever more important. And that's what we were looking for from JLab this year. We're also really keen to get a business which not only was a great investment, but also there was real potential for us to use in Waitrose and John Lewis. And Exactly ticked all of those boxes and had a really clear vision for how they could improve this area of our business and also how they could actually make that happen. So I was delighted to see Exactly kind of come to the top as one of the winners of JLab this year. And I'm going to hand back to Bea, who will talk a bit more about how they did it.
Thank you. So what exactly does Exactly do? There are millions of deliveries happening right now, and you're just going from A to B. It's simple. But sadly, there are lots of reasons why things fall down along the way. Perhaps the customer's not in, and the driver doesn't know where to leave it or where they'd like it left. It might even be that someone's wasted just 2 minutes trying to find a location, perhaps doing a U-turn and navigating their way through a big apartment block to find an exact flat. And when we look back to what the root cause of why these things go wrong, we often find that customer data either isn't even captured upfront or doesn't pass downstream. So that's why we exist. And we really want to capture all these customer preferences and information right up front in a retailer portal and pass that the whole way through to everyone in that supply chain route. So acting as that one source of truth, tying together the retailer, the carrier, and the consumer. So our focus is very much on the consumer, as I said, and that's why our proposition is retailer and carrier agnostic. We want everyone to have the same information and the same experience regardless of who they ordered from and who is fulfilling that order. So we marry all this consumer preferences and information, nuances about their address, where they like stuff left, what label they hate, and we blend that with the most intelligent data sources out there to make it as precise and accurate as possible. So we've heard the theory, and I'm going to bring this to life now in a bit of a story that we ran with Waitrose. So back in September, I was out on multiple vans with lots of drivers who were always quite surprised to see me and Lisa from Exactly. And we were out with Mike, and Mike had driven for over 10 years. He lived in this town. And even when I met him at first in the depot, he was like, "Oh, I know every single customer, I know every single address, I know everywhere, I don't even use the Santa." And I was like, crap, why am I even playing with Mike? So off we went, and we managed to get to an address that happened to be a new build in this instance. And suddenly Mike went from being really, really calm to really, really flustered, and he was like, "Okay, right, the waitress handheld is telling me it's here. Okay, I don't think it's here." So then we had to do a really, really awkward U-turn in the van and obviously private drive. He then consulted his Garmin sat nav. It took us to another location about half a mile away, and we still went there. He looked in his book of maps, which I was surprised people were still using, but apparently they do, and it of course wasn't listed there. I called the customer and they didn't pick up. So as a process of all this, we were running 25 minutes late, and we eventually got to that customer. I'll explain how later. And we had about 5 minutes within the 1 hour slot which was good to their customers. So we fulfilled it. But as a consequence, all the other deliveries were now completely out of kilter on the rest of the route. So Mike then had to call up the next lady, apologise for running late, explain what was happening. And when we got to her house, it was pouring rain, and she was actually stood at the end of her drive with her front door open. You could literally hear all her kids screaming. It was clearly bath time. And she was just waiting there, and she was just grabbing all the bags and just throwing them into the house, and then just shut the door on us. And I just thought, wow, this is really not the waitress customer experience I'm sure that they are striving to get. So hopefully that brings to life how it really feels to be a customer on the other end of it, but also for Waitrose as a business, they've spent money on gestures of goodwill on that customer, so turning a profitable order into potentially a loss-making order. The customer had called the call centre, again, which had unlocked another cost for the business there. And I'm sure we've all had a negative last mile experience where we thought, you know what, I'm not going to actually shop there again, because that was just so painful, I can't be bothered to deal with it. So getting this wrong really affects brand loyalty. For our trial, we had 2 people to sign up clearly. So we have the consumers, and then we have how is all that data visualized to the driver. So I'm just going to talk you through how we sign people up within Waitrose. So within the My Account area on a beta site, we then had exactly embedded. So we always start with the path address, which is provided by Raw Mail and various other suppliers. And we then have various data sets in the back end, which take people to the most precise location on Street View. So people can visually say where they are and add a description. We then know what sort of property they're in. And if they're in a flat, we then take them on a different journey, which captures what floor they're on and is their lift access. So that's really important to drivers who are carrying 5 crates of groceries up, 5 flights of stairs, or not. We then tell them the benefits of using exactly across multiple sites and would they like to, and if they do, we then use social logins to sign them up. So I'm just going to show a next video which really brings to life the trial itself and the driver experience too.
As a delivery man, it's important that you, wherever possible, you meet the customer expectations of delivery on time. One of which is, we don't know what they're doing outside of their allocated slot time, and it may not be, they're just waiting. Maybe they have other important things to do.
We had a live example with the driver yesterday who tried to find a delivery location. He couldn't find the location in DPT. He then tried to find it using a physical map book, and it was a new address, so it wasn't located in there. He then tried to use his Garmin sat nav, which also wasn't updated, and he couldn't find the delivery location in there. And actually, after 25 minutes of trying to find the location, he then used the exactly functionality which took him directly to the customer's house.
Without the app, to be honest, I wouldn't have been able to find the customer's location because he was not able to answer the telephone. So I basically ran out of ideas as to where he might be. And in fact, his final location was perhaps about half a mile from where the driver's house ended, and probably about a mile from where the Garmin sat nav thought it should be. It seems very straightforward actually. The mapping was clear, it was clear to follow, and the satellite picture, the sort of the eagle eye, find the location. It was very useful. And even though it was 180 degrees out of orientation, it was still relatively easy to follow to find the final file.
Awesome.
So yeah,
So
green
the
door.
green door. The green door.
It's
awesome.
as simple as looking at one of the electrical numbers.
Yeah.
You know, a green doors understand that more.
Yeah.
People first mentioned this app, I was a bit sceptical about. They said, well, you get to see a picture of where you're going. I didn't think that would be particularly useful, but having seen it in action, I think the more information you have about your drop point, the better things will be and the more efficient we can be.
Fundamentally, I think the idea of the product and the way that it functioned had some really positive implications for the future.
So, a day in the life of Mike. And some of the results from the trial were a really, really strong NPS score, and I know everyone sort of throws the stat up, but I think with someone like Mike in that instance, who was very skeptical at first and had waitress technology with him, he had incredible local know-how. You know, these are branch deliveries, these aren't agency drivers, these guys do the same branch, and they're very familiar with it. So to get such a great score was really, really powerful, and it really qualified the proposition for us. In terms of the dwell time in that instance, I mean, we would have cut 25 minutes out of shift to waitress, which would have been a huge saving, and of course all the gestures of goodwill as well. So as part of JLab, we also ran several UX lab tests. So these are with waitress shoppers, externally recruited, moderated, examined. And here are a couple of quotes that came out of that. And my favourite being, someone said on the hood, you know, it gives me more confidence, it gives the retailer more confidence, and it's everyone working together to get this parcel to you. And that really goes back to what our vision is, to be this one source of truth, tying everyone in this chain together. As a company, we very much want to keep our ear to the ground, fingers on the pulse, and there's loads of new trends in e-commerce and the delivery space, some really exciting ones. And at Exactly, again, we really want to unlock any of these preferences a consumer may have, whether it's delivering to their phone, to their car, lockers, connected homes, on demand. And I think we're seeing a huge surge of not just parcels to home, but also people to home, whether that's makeup artists or physio. So there's a whole load of economies and services out there that rely on being as efficient as possible.
So it's been a real pleasure for me to work with Bea and her team, actually, to introduce her today at this event. John Lewis Partnership, we're absolutely delighted with the investment we've made in Bea and Exactly. They've got a company with a really bright future. We're delighted to be associated with them, and also on a more practical level, both in the Waitrose and the John Lewis trading divisions now, we're actively working with Bea to see where we can bring their technology kind of into our business to make sure that we're getting that customer delivery experience right first time, every time for our customers, which is so important to us.
Great, thank you. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'd love to meet you. Here's our email. And yeah, any questions, I'm sure we'll have time.